Well, the writing's been on the wall for a while with Fresh and Easy. I think there's a few things here. First of all, the stores are very clinical, they're very small, they're very automated, and I think, Tesco tried to enter the US and revolutionize the way that Americans shop, but they just really failed to grasp it. So I think another issue really is the fact that they set up the infrastructure to service thousands of these stores, but at the moment they're still limited to just a few hundred. So these stores are operating with quite a lot of overhead, and it's very difficult for them to turn a profit. And so that's why after 5 years, the stores are still hemorrhaging money. And, the US is an extremely competitive market. There's some very strong established players there. And unfortunately, I think today's news indicates that Tesco will inevitably exit the market. They're not the only ones that have done it. M&S and Sainsbury's have tried to crack the US, but they've had to exit as well. So I think that's what we'll see.
I mentioned there the pressure on Philip Clark, the chief executive. In a sense, though, this Fresh and Easy thing was the brainchild of his predecessor, Terry Leahy.
Yes, that's right. And again, I think that Fresh and Easy was an innovative idea, and it certainly sparked a lot of reaction in the US. So if you look at some of the big competitors like Walmart, they're now launching a chain of smaller stores, and I think they have identified a gap in the market, but they've just really failed to deliver on it. And the news that Tim Mason, the CEO of Fresh and Easy, is now leaving the business is also quite significant, because he was also the deputy CEO of the entire group and a clear frontrunner for Philip Clark's job when the time comes for him to move on. So I think that the major implication here is that now there's no real line of succession in place, particularly now that Richard Brasher, who is heading the UK business, has also left.
Yeah, just tell us then a bit about how you analyse the position of Tesco as it stands at the moment. It still feels as if it doesn't quite have that panache that it did a few years ago.
Yeah, that's right. I think they've sort of lost their way. They've become a little bit complacent in the UK, which, let's not forget, is the cash cow market. The UK accounts for 2/3 of group profits. And if the UK is not performing as it should be, well, that puts a lot of pressure on international operations. And if you look internationally, they have actually reported declines in like-for-like sales in 8 of their 12 markets. So you can see why there's a lot of pressure on Philip Clark to exit those markets where there's no clear sign of improvements, of turning a profit. They recently exited their Japanese business, and I think going forward, Tesco's never really been a flag planter, but the focus will very much be on fixing the UK, improving the quality of its products, improving the ranging, updating their stores, which they are making progress on, and really turning around its domestic market before it looks overseas.